committed then. Absolutely. I'm going to hand it to you right away. So. Absolutely.
So wait, are you going to call me up or am I supposed to know about it?
For Galila, I'll call you. I need people.
So just to confirm, he's giving the present today, and I don't have to do anything but the blessings.
Yeah, and Rabbi Einstein is giving the charge, so all that I thought about doesn't matter.
Let's have fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Darlene, your presence is required.
What about the boys?
They know. Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Shabbos. Good to see everybody. We are hi.
Hello.
You got, but the mics are hot. You got to be careful.
Sung?
Hmm?
Sung?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Those of you who are visiting from as close as Huntington Beach and Tustin, or as far as Vegas, anyone farther than Vegas? Okay, good. So from desert to desert, we are a desert people, but good to have you here. Less flooding than you have, but you are so welcome. Good. Those of you who are guests, we're very excited to see you. Those of you who are home here at CBT, welcome home. Been a while since I've been here, so I also feel like it's a welcome home for me as well. Those of you who are watching online, wonderful to have you here with us. Everyone, wave. Not to me, to them. And those of you who may or may not be familiar with and those of you who go to synagogue in Vegas, please forgive the American accent. I know you're used to a British accent. Rabbi Cohen is a friend. This morning we'll be using Mishkan Tefillah as our prayer book. There are two dark blue books under the seat in front of you, or under your seat if you're in the front row. And we'll be mostly using Mishkan Tefillah, the one with the gold flames on the cover. Anytime we open to a 2-page spread, that will be like that is one blessing. So if you start, we're going to start on 74 in a few minutes, but if you look at page 74, it's 3 different things, but it's one blessing. It's all matovu. And typically in the upper right-hand corner is the Hebrew. The lower right-hand corner of the 2-page spread is a translation. And then on the left-hand side are interpretations. So we may be in any quadrant of a 2-page spread, but it's all one blessing. And if you decide your eye wants to wander, you find a little more meaning in a different reading, you want to read the notes, it's all good. You do you. We're all on the same page. So we are going to actually begin with a talit blessing. We're going to, before we bless our talitot, Darlene, you're going to need to be given a talit. So we're going to invite your grandchildren to come and gift you your talit with their blessing to you.
Do you need this mic? That way each of you gets one.
Um, Hello, everyone. I'm Danny Halpern. I'm one of Darlene's grandsons.
And I'm Brandon Alpert.
And we're presenting my bubby with Tallis. We were honored to be able to give this to her for her Bat Mitzvah. This is super special to us because Bubby has been such a inspiring religious, spiritual figure in our lives. And funny enough, she educated us in preparation for our bar mitzvahs over a dozen years ago. Had I known that she did not have her bat mitzvah, I would have been like, how can you be teaching me if you didn't do it yourself? But no, it's great that she is finally able to partake in this spiritual ritual, and I'm super happy for her.
If we had known that our bubby had not had her bat mitzvah as well, we would have suggested that we all do it together, all three of us.
Amen.
Yeah.
Tell Mark that.
Mark, I might have switched the handhelds.
This is handheld 5 over here.
Normally, I have to coach the blessing to Bnai Mitzvah, so always wonderful when Jews know how to pray.
It's beautiful.
And we are going to continue on page 74. And look, you're already there. on page 80, there is a series of blessings that goes through page 84 called Nisim B'chol Yom. Nisim B'chol Yom translates to daily miracles. And as we read through the English of the blessing, who's given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night, who opens the eyes of the blind, who frees the captive, who lifts up the fallen. These are miraculous sounding blessings. And yet, B'chol Yom, daily, seems a little bit strange here, because these great miracles, like the blind can see, might not sound like a daily miracle. That means there's an implication here, that these are things that happen to us every day. And thankfully to CCAR Press, in the margins, they've done a description of what the blessing means to us, the miracle that happens every day. So what's the first thing you all did this morning? Before you opened your eyes even, Greg, you woke up. Yeah, you were able to distinguish day from night. And then, Greg, you opened your eyes, open the eyes of the blind. So these kind of, and for some of us, that's a double blessing, because first we open our eyes and then we put devices on so that we can actually use them. So it's a double blessing. These things do happen to us every day, and these are things that we should be thankful for. So we're going to do this a little differently, though. I want to ask you, what are you blessed by today? What are you thankful for that you've been able to do, even if it's something you do every day? See family. That's a good one. That was Danny? I couldn't see the mask moving. Walk. And that's on here. That's one of the things on the list. Who strengthens our steps, or depending on how you read it, who makes the ground firm to walk on. So either way, whether it's our steps or the ground itself, walking is a blessing. Breathing, such a blessing. Eating, oh, Shelley, yeah. Eating is such a blessing. Shelley and I have had many moments over the blessing of eating. Or drinking. Dad. Yeah, Shelley's dad. I forgot your first name. Harvey. So, yes, very much. Other blessings? Smiling. Or were you telling me to smile? Yes, smiling. Just the ability to have something to smile about is a huge blessing. The ability to taste. Yeah. A good point. Shelley just mentioned that with COVID, a lot of us need to acknowledge that blessing, that it's a blessing that some of us lost, even temporarily. Feeling? Healing. Yes, absolutely. And we're going to say a big blessing over healing later, but it is certainly a blessing that we hope is daily. Absolutely. Darlene, do you have any blessings that you're thankful for? So many. There's one I know you've talked about a lot. I'm wondering if you're going to, and you're doing it now. Learning. She's good at catching cues. Absolutely, learning is such a blessing. So with all of our blessings in mind, the ones we said out loud, the ones we may have been too shy to say out loud, we are so thankful to God, and we're going to talk about some of the specifics. There's a blessing on page 85 that closes out Nisim B'chol Yom. We don't very often read this at CBT or in Reformed congregations in general. The last synagogue I was at, the senior rabbi preferred to skip this blessing. I'll say that nicely. And I've always loved it. To me, it reminds me of the summer camp where I grew up, because we would say this every Saturday morning. And here we are on Saturday morning. And Darlene said, hey, there's this blessing that I really like. And I was so happy that she said that, because I haven't recited this blessing in years. So on page 85, we'll do this because I like it so much. I like to share. So we'll do verse by verse. I'll say one verse, and then y'all say the next. I am a Jew because the faith of Israel demands no abdication of my mind.
I am a Jew because the faith of Israel requires all the devotion of my heart.
I am a Jew because in every place where suffering weeps, the Jew weeps.
I am a Jew because at every time when despair cries out, the Jew hopes.
I am a Jew because the word of Israel is the oldest and the newest.
I am a Jew because Israel's promise is the universal promise.
I am a Jew because for Israel the world is not completed, we are completing it.
I am a Jew because for Israel, humanity is not created, we are creating it.
I am a Jew because Israel places humanity and its unity above the nations and above Israel itself.
I am a Jew because above humanity, image of the divine unity, Israel places the unity, which is divine.
Amen, amen. We're going to continue praising the divine. The word that we use when we have the ultimate praise is hallelujah. So we will sing Psalm 150, which is on page 100. Page 106, Chatzi Kaddish.
יתקרא ויתקרא שמי רבה.
Amen.
יעמד יברח ירטה וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וביום אחד, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, ועלה הלל ועריה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי דקודשה ברכו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן ועלמה, ואמרו אמן. You get to do it. No, we're gonna just turn it.
Please rise for Baruch Hu. Ba'ed. In the beginning, even then, a new light was sown for the righteous, a promise that your light would become the catalyst, first for order and then for hope. Author of language and light, help us to use words as you have, to cast light into dark waters and draw out justice and truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMaorot. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us, teach us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah. Focus our minds on your mitzvot. Unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Then we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, and never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we shall celebrate your salvation with joy. Gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth, and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You chose us. Truly you drew us near to your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Baruch atah Adonai, Adonai, Amo Yisrael, ba'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'vlechtecha v'aderech u'vshach b'char u'vkumecha Ukshartam la'odal yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvish arecha. Leman tizkru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'hi yitem kedoshim la'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher Hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihot lachem le'olam Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem, Amen.
When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness. Then your goodness enters our lives, and we can begin to change the world. And then you live in our hearts, and we, through righteousness, behold your presence. want me to go down to here? Just the bottom.
Whatever you want.
Let us honor the generations that came before us, keeping the promise for those yet to be. Emet, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness, there is your word.
Page 121.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, page 121.
You're doing great. Thank you. Why don't we start?
Emet, I'm going to start at the beginning. then?
Please.
Okay. Emet, for those of you who don't know, means truth. Emet, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness, there is your word. Emet, that pen strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame, stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is Torah. Your truth for us is certain and established, now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice.
Mi Chamocha can be found on 122.
Please rise for Amida on page 124.
Just turn right around. I'm going to give you the microphone.
Open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Elohei Bilha Elohei Zilpah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'konei HaKol V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imaot U'megi Geula Libnei Bneihem Leman Shemo Me'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Abraham Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Hakol Me'amiyah Rav LaHoshia Mori Hatal Mechakel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Sotei Koholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Armi Chamocha Bal Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Meili Umachayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua
V'ne'emanata chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Go to page 130. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech kol haaretz, kevodo. Adir, adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, adir shimcha b'kol haaretz. Baruch kevod Adonai bimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, v'hu yashmienu, b'rachamav l'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, ledor vador. Hallelujah. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. בשבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. Page 134. We read together in English. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael, v'tefilatam b'ahavat tekabel, v'tehi l'ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, el karov l'chol korav, pnei el avadecha v'chonenu, sfoch ruchacha aleinu. Eternal, ever-present one, may we, your people, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yira na'avod. Together in English on 138. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. We take a moment for our own personal prayers. We continue with Seder Kriyat HaTorah, our service for reading the Torah, page 244. Page 244.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai ve'en kema'asecha Malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai imloch le'olam ad Adonai oz le'amo yitein Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Normally here I would say like 3 words and then we'd start again. So please forgive me, Catherine and Jenna. It's going to take a second to get through this. In the blessing we just heard, Umemshaltecha bechol dor vador. God's dominion is from generation to generation. Those same words are heard at the end of Kedusha, ledor vador, from generation to generation. It's an incredibly important pair of words, ledor vador, from generation to generation. And in a moment, we're going to pass the Torah from generation to generation backwards. Bat Mitzvah is an interesting phrase, and we've come to use it wrong all the time. Bat means daughter. Mitzvah means commandment. So you will hear us say, Bat Mitzvah, daughter of the commandments, which is a terrible translation of Hebrew, because in English, we know commandments can't have daughters. In Hebrew, the word bat is known as a noun of relation. Grammar, I'm a nerd. When we say bat chazak, it translates to daughter of strength. But again, what does that mean? It means a strong woman, a phrase I chose just for you. Strong woman, bat chazak. Bat mitzvah does not mean daughter of the commandments. It translates to daughter of the commandments, but it means a woman obligated to the commandments. In other words, a Jewish adult. Which also means she's been a bat mitzvah for quite some time. When anyone turns 13, they become a bat or bar mitzvah. You don't have to have a service to become a bat mitzvah. It happens. You have to wake up on your 13th birthday. So today, we are celebrating you, Darlene, becoming a bat mitzvah even 67 years ago. And pretty good quick math. And that means you're not having a bat mitzvah. You can't have a Jewish adult. That would be painful. You are celebrating the fact that for years you have been a bat mitzvah. And when we come up in a moment and your grandchildren and your children pass the Torah, ledor vador, from generation to generation, they are celebrating the fact that they are b'nai mitzvah because of you being a bat mitzvah for all of their lives. So we're going to invite Darlene, your children and grandchildren, to come on up, and that includes in-laws, to come on up and prepare for passing the Torah, Shalshelet HaKabbalah, passing the Torah, Ledor Vador, from generation to generation. And we're also inviting Jeff Cohen and Dolly Cohen for the sorry, my bad. We switched it. Greg Halpern and Cindy Halpern will open the ark for us. And as the ark is open, we invite you all to please rise. I have them here.
Do you want me to sing and then she'll charge, or do you want to charge and then sing?
Let's do however
All right.
everybody comes up.
Rachamim, heitiva v'rtzoncha et Zion. Tivnei chamot Yerushalayim.
standing here with you, I'm feeling a flood of memories about why each of you is so precious to me.
Do you want to turn around and talk to them so you don't have to lose them up?
If you don't mind. As your mom or Bubby, I love you and enjoy you more than words could ever say, and I'm very proud of you. Today, I'm hoping and praying children and grandchildren of your own, and will have the same mitzvah I'm fulfilling today of giving over the Torah to the next generation of our family, just as our Bubbies and Zadis have been doing for 3,000 years. This is not a formality or a ritual. You are being entrusted with God's holy Torah, and the God of our fathers and mothers believes in you. When Rabbi Young passes the Torah to you, take a personal moment to bring it into your heart like the deepest, warmest hug in the world. Always remember the feeling whenever you feel discouraged, are anxious, or struggling, as can happen in life. Torah is empowering, and you matter to God. If you ever doubt yourself, ask yourself, whose voice am I hearing? Because it's not God's voice, and it certainly won't be my voice. Torah can change a life of sad existence into a life worth living. Mitzvot have to be lived and experienced for their truth to be revealed and their goodness to shine through us. We know things, as Jacob likes to tell me, and he likes to question and think about important things in life. But hard as we try, none of us is all-knowing, not at 17 and not at 80. So my blessing to you is to make time to learn Torah and bring it into your everyday life, and do something for God's sake. In this age of text messages and emails, I hope you will take time to open those from God and respond. I love, love, love you. That's why
The
I'm
mics
nervous.
are hot, so they heard all of it. It's okay, though. Come stand right here. So in addition to leading us so beautifully so far in services, Darlene has been studying so much about this week's Parsha, Parshat Va'etchanan, and she's going to share some of her words slowly with us now.
I'm nervous. I
step.
feel like the Jewish people at Mount Sinai, trembling, shaking.
One more step.
This way, okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
It's so good to see you all with me today. Thank you all for being here in person or streaming online to share my Bat Mitzvah with me. My Devar Torah today is dedicated to the memory of my beloved nephew, Eric Siegel, who loved to do Hagbad services. May it be an aliyah for his soul and a comfort to our entire family. I don't know where it comes from, but I've been blessed, but I have loved to learn Torah since I was a little girl, and have been blessed to learn from great rabbis in my life. One of them, Rav Shlomo Karlbach Zitzal, was the first to show me the joy of being Jewish and the deepest depths of the Torah. But joy was unknown to us as slaves in Egypt, barely existing, traumatized with no sense of purpose, helpless and homeless. The Almighty redeemed us, cared for us, and fought for us. Sent by God to be our leader and teacher, Moses showed us that every person and every day counts, that every person, our days in the desert became purposeful and we had direction. Imagine the difference at Mount Sinai when the God of our fathers and mothers, the master of the universe, revealed the Torah to us in awe and majesty and became our God too. And we became the people of God forever. From all my holy teachers, my rabbis, I learned that all of us matter to our Creator and that our actions have meaning. We all bring ourselves to the Torah, and it is speaking to each of us at our own level, in our own personal circumstances and life experiences. Though a biblical genius who knew and cherished every word of the Torah by heart, Rav Shlomo did not give me intellectual advice. Instead, he taught, simple as it is, the best way to study Torah is to ask, what are you trying to teach me, God, in this portion? I took his advice in studying today's parsha called Va'etchanan from the book of Deuteronomy, or Devarim in Hebrew, which means words. The words of Moses to the Jewish people at the end of his life, just as the Israelites surviving 40 years in the wilderness had at last reached the banks of the Jordan River. Their faith still fragile, a rebellious generation had died out. Moses is speaking now at 120 years of age to the next generation who had not directly experienced slavery, who had grown up learning Torah in the desert, witnessing God's protection while completely dependent, and who will be the first generation to live according to God's Torah in a land of their own. As instructed by God, Moses informs the people that, though not due to their own merits, the time has come for them to enter the land promised to their ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The land belongs to God, who is taking it from the 7 Canaanite peoples who have become an abomination to God. Because of their idolatry, cruel human sacrifices, and licentious ways, they have even lost their right to exist. The Israelites are to take possession of the land and destroy the idols. Va'etchanan means beseech or implore. As the parsha begins, Moses tells the people he had beseeched God for permission to enter the land. But for their sake, his failure to bring forth water according to God's instructions and build their trust in God cannot be overlooked. He will not be allowed to see the land, but He will be allowed to see the land, but Moses will not be going in with his people. The Israelites will inherit Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, under Joshua, their new leader. Moses reviews most of the laws he had taught them in the desert, instructs them to always remember what they learned and what God had done for them. This parsha is vast, including a repetition of the Ten Commandments and the Shema, the clarion call of Judaism, declaring the oneness of God, just as we do in today's service. Moses tells them as well to hear God's words, take them into their hearts, and teach them diligently to their children. He warns against idolatry, reminding them that during the revelation at Mount Sinai, God's voice was heard, but no form was ever seen. That God will continue to be with them unless they turn away and worship other gods, and consequently perish from the good land God has given them. In the words of Great Britain's Chief Rabbi, Lord Jonathan Sacks, recently of blessed memory, we are a hearing people. Of Torah. The second of the Ten Commandments prohibits us to make any graven images of God. Elsewhere in the Torah, we are not to worship false gods or benefit financially or in any other way from idolatry. And if necessary, are to relinquish our lives rather than engage in idolatry. South African Rabbi Dr. Akiva Tatz, author and teacher of Jewish philosophy and medical ethics in London, explains that idolatry was the most powerful of all temptations. In that mindset and sense of reality, says Rabbi Mike Maimon of Congregation Shalom in Seal Beach, there is no moral compass. In order to have fertile land and abundance of crops and children, for example, a person must seek the favor of the gods or appease them in order to survive. Idolatry is a slippery slope and actually another form of slavery, in which a worshiper may give up every shred of humanity, dignity, and decency to meet his needs in a meaningless, disordered world of forces beyond his control. If a God requires 3 children under the age of 5, that is what is done, despite their cries of agony from the fire. The debasing use of male and female prostitutes was common in fertility rites and becomes good in society. The uniqueness of Torah, says esteemed Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch, is that Torah is the eternal message of God to man and not the ideas or relationship with the Godhead fashioned in the minds of men. The light bulb moment, and what this parsha means to me on my Bat Mitzvah, came from taking the words and warnings of Moses into my heart and the deepest depth of my being, really focusing where it became clear that God's dream for us, created in the image of God as we are, was that we be freed of slavery in every form. We are not to use our free will to make slaves of ourselves. It's like, of course. Thank you, God. It was just, I wanted to sing and dance, that that's the God we believe in. It just overwhelmed me. We're not to use, again, our free will to make slaves of ourselves. One message of Shabbat, for example, is about not being a slave to work, striving, money, or even our own egos and desires. Reb Shlomo once said, if someone wants to show you he's your master, he steps on you. But when God wants to show you he's your master, he lifts you up. Rabbi Sacks commented in an interview that Shabbos is the great equalizer. You can't even ask anyone else to work, including your animals. There is no dominance, and all hierarchies are gone. With wonderful insight, Rabbi Manis Friedman teaches that when the Torah was given, God not only revealed divine laws and statutes, but also revealed himself. This is who I am. This is what I like and don't like. When he said, I am God, your God, he was saying, I'm yours. And we answered, whatever you ask, we will do. Rabbi Friedman also asks, why did God create the world? He's perfect. Why did he need this headache? The answer is that yes, he's perfect, but perfectly alone. He wants to have a relationship with us and a dwelling place in our world. Jewish writings compiled over 1,000 years are, in the words of Rabbi Sachs, relentlessly this worldly. Judaism is about a journey, not a state of being. Torah means instructions. It's about how to bring heaven down to earth. It's about the way to go, how to walk, work, to do, love, build an economy, create our politics, and administer justice, all in the presence of God. It's a code of holiness for our thoughts, actions, and emotions as vessels of godliness. It's about what can I do for God. The Torah is not a burden, for it is through cherishing and doing mitzvot that we receive heavenly taste and come close to the unseen, unfathomable, eternal God and fulfill our purpose as God's chosen people to be a light to the nations and a blessing to mankind. Happiness is not a private feeling in Judaism. It must be shared in the company of others. Inclusive Jewish joy must always include the widow, the orphan, and the stranger. God is closest to us when we are closest to each other. The greatest joy in oneness is brotherhood, which we're just beginning to taste. My bat mitzvah could not truly be joyous without you being here with me. Thank you again for coming and sharing it with me. God needs each of us and all of us. We have a lot of learning, loving, and respecting to do to fill this world with peace and the oneness of God. For my part, if someone asks me if I'm a Jew, I will answer as did a friend of mine, I hope so. Thank you for your kind attention.
You sure cooked that?
Thank you, Rabbi.
Absolutely. I brought this for you.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
Of course. You can leave it. I'll take it.
thank you. He's hired if you ever want to have a bat mitzvah. He and Jenna are
If you ever want to what?
have a bat mitzvah.
Ooh, painful.
You can't have a bat mitzvah.
Right, right.
Right. You can't have
Become
a
one.
bat mitzvah when you want to become one.
If you want to become one, hineni. You tell me. Oh, is that a volunteer, Abby? You want to do it again? I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I know. Best person I could have done that to, right?
Right.
Okay. You're going to now step over there. I know.
Do I have my other papers?
What other papers? The part in Hebrew right here.
I need to refer to the part that was in, but you'll hold it.
I'll coach. I hope.
When I woke up this morning, I couldn't remember a word of anything today.
That's how I felt last night.
Yeah.
I have this whole list of Hebrew names. I don't have yours.
Hannah, Bat, Sarah, Shayna.
Oh, it's on the program.
Thank you, Jenna.
That's what she just said, so that works. I'm going to even say your dad's as well.
Please.
It is an honor to be called to the Torah. As we say in Hebrew, al achat kama v'chama, all the more so when we are called up as a bat or bar mitzvah. So this particular calling up, you can't walk over to the Torah. You can only walk up to the Torah, which is why we call it an aliyah, which is a coming up. So for our first aliyah, we invite our blessed bat mitzvah. Tamor Chana bat Sarah Shena v'Yitzchak ben Yaakov Halevi habat mitzvah la'aliyah laTorah. Wait. No, the microphone is not ready for you.
Yes.
Chapter 4. If you want to follow along, it is on page 1339 in the other blue book of the same color that says the Torah on it. 1339, Deuteronomy chapter 4, beginning with verse 1.
V'ata Yisrael Shema El Hakukim Va'al Hamishpatim Asher Anochi Malmed Etchem La'asot Leman Tihiv Uvtam Yirshatam At Haaretz Asher Adonai Elohai Avotchem Notain Lechem Lo Hastifu Tosifu Al Hadavar Asher Anochi Mitzaver Etchem
Way over there.
Baal Velo Tagru Mimenu Las Shomar Lishmor Et Mitzvot Adonai Elohechem Asher Anochi Mitzvah Etchem Einechem Harot Et Asher Asa Adonai Vavil Paor Ki Kol Ha'ish Asher Halach Arei Baal Paor Hishmato Adonai Elohar Mikravach V'etem Had Vokim Ba'adonai Elohechem Hayim Kulchem Hayam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nutah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshar koach. Okay. Now, deep breath. Yishabeach avotenu v'imotenu Abraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Bilcha, v'Zilpa. Hu yivarech et Hana bat Sarah, Shena, v'Yitzchak ben Yaakov Halevi. Ba'avor she'ala lichvod hamakom v'lichvod haTorah v'lichvod haShabbat b'schar zeh hakadosh baruch hu yishmereha v'yitzaleha mikol tzara v'tzukah mikol nega u'machala v'yishlach bracha v'atzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yadeha im kol Yisrael v'nomar. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Bilcha, and Zilpah, bless you, Darlene. May, since you have come up for this aliyah in honor of God, Torah, becoming Bat Mitzvah, and serving as a righteous exemplar to your family. May the Holy One of Blessing protect you, rescue you from any trouble, distress, and illness, minor or serious. May God send blessing and success to your every endeavor. And if you tackle your every endeavors like you do becoming Bat Mitzvah, look out, world. And we say together, Amen. For our second aliyah, we are going to invite Darlene's daughters, Shelly and Kim. This is a form of, I love it when only women come up, when two women come up for an aliyah, because I get to use a word I almost never get to use because of the verb form. Ta'amodna, Seina Rachel bat Chaim Michael, the Yisraela Peya bat Chaim Michael, Lale ala Torah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. I love hearing sisters sing together because it always sounds so good. I got you. Deep breath. You know this.
Right here. Re'eh limadati etchem hukim u'mishpatim. Kasher Sivani Adonai Elohai L'sot Kain B'karev Haaretz Asher Atem Ba'im Shomer Shama Larishta Ushmartem Vashtam Vasitam Ki Hiv Hakmatam Uv Natchem La'ani Leini Hamayim Asher Shema Yishma'un et Kol Hukim Halo. Say everybody. Ha'ela. Ve'amru Rak Aim Zachem Hachem Uv Unabon Hagiv Hagoy Hagadol Adonai. Yeah. I lost it here. Right. Hazer Ki Mi Goy Gadol Asher Lo Elohim Kiravim Elyav Ka Adonai Eloheinu V'chal Karenu Elav.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai noten ha'Torah.
With the Torah open before us, we know God is listening close to our words. And so we offer a prayer of healing, a mishaberach, for those in our community, those in our lives who need our prayers right now. Today, from Darlene's community of friends and family, we are thinking especially of David Anding, Anita Muchnikoff, Lori Siegel, my handwriting, Phil Jenis, Yisraela Barchana, Michelle Valens, Ruth Herman, Dolly Cohn. And if you have another name you would like to add to our prayers for healing, we encourage you to either type them into the chat if you are watching online or say them aloud right now. Yes. Whose names we say aloud, all those whose names we write in the chat, and all those whose names remain on our hearts be blessed with a complete healing as we say together.
Amen.
For our third aliyah, we are going to invite Brandon, Danny, Jacob, and Abby. Ya'amdu kol hanichadim lalei ala Torah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. No. Over here. This one word and then the next line.
Umi goy gadol asher lo hakim umishpatim tzedakим kachol haTorah hazot asher Anochi noten lifnichem hayom rak hashmar lach b'shamer nafshach me'od pen tishcha et hadvarim asher ra'u Einecha Yafen Suru Milva Vecha Kol Im Yemei hayecha, v'had tam livnor ulfnei v'necha yom asher. Amata lifnei Adonai Elohach Hecha V'charav V'mar Adonai al hacholi et ha'am v'shma'am et devar asher lemad lilmedun lero et kol hamim asher him hazim al hadma ve'et b'nechem lilam limadedun.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tohenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Sorry, that just, you guys get to stay. For our fourth aliyah, we invite Rabbi Stephen J. Einstein. Ya'amod Harav Shalom Yaakov ben Shaya Zalman v'Yaakov Lali ala Torah. I'm going to call an audible, if you don't mind. 'Cause normally, the last aliyah would normally be for the parents of the 13-year-old Bat or Bar Mitzvah. So they would offer a blessing. So I know I told you that you would do this at a different part. So if you want to, but if you're ready now.
I can go get my notes.
Oh,
if you want.
yeah, sure. I can grab them for you if you want.
Yeah, it's in the prayer book.
I'm happy to. Calling an audible is also a sports ball term, so you should all be impressed.
Over the years, I have had innumerable opportunities to offer words of congratulations to Bat Mitzvah candidates. Typically, I would note that the individual had been blessed with many gifts, and I would urge the person to show gratitude for these God-given talents by making this a better world. In other words, take the Torah's urging of Tikkun Olam to heart and put it to work. On this very special Shabbat, Darlene, I do not have to utter this hope for your future. Why not? Because for decades, this has been the reality of your life. It is your Torah. For you, Torah is not a scroll in the